What if I were to tell you that half the population was to be destroyed through radiation 13 years ago? Would you believe me that 13 years ago, half of the population was destroyed by radiation? Or that in 2016, no cities will be left in Europe, that all cities will be destroyed in Europe in the past? No, because it didn't happen. But one of the things that came across today was this individual called Baba Vanga. Now, let's look into Baba Vanga. So, Baba Vanga, or I am going to have a hard time with these words, I apologize. Vangelia Pandeva Gushtarova. Man, if I even got close, I'd be so happy. She was born October 3rd, 1911, and she died August 11th in 1996. So, fairly recently when it comes to history, that is. She was Bulgarian, and she's attributed to having mystic powers and also was a healer as well. And she also claimed to foresee the future. Okay, so the story that I saw was that there was this storm in her village. Some are attributing it to like a tornado, and the tornado picked her up, threw her to the field, and they couldn't find her for a while. They finally found her. She was buried under this rock and rubble, and from that injury, she was blind, and they couldn't help with her blindness. And after she became blind, her other abilities started getting stronger. And by other abilities, it obviously means psychic abilities, the ability to heal people and the ability to see the future as well. And it started off small, like according to the records that I saw, and I'll be very clear on what I'm talking about later, that she could foresee when animals would come back to the village. Like if an animal was lost, you'd be saying when the animal would come back. And also, she was able to concoct different healing medicines using herbs and stuff like that, which would heal people in the village. Okay, so her methodology would be that she would go into a trance, and while she was in a trance, she would write down these symbols which could not be interpreted. She'd come out of the trance, she would then interpret the symbols herself into their meanings, but those meanings were done in a archaic form of language and were also kind of written in code as well. So it's a real plus that she's very clear on what she means. So what has occurred is that people are taking these decipherings, these utterances, and interpreting them and reinterpreting. It is like the longest and worst form of telephone in the world. And so currently there's this prophecy that's going around that in the year 2024 there's going to be very major life events that people are saying is political in nature, and that there's also things that are going to be happening in 2025, and it's going to be the Great Shakening. And the Great Shakening, they have figured out, is either going to be an earthquake or an event that is so drastic that it's going to shake the foundations of the world. So basically is they don't know. They don't know what it means because it's not written in any form that you can decipher as being fact or fiction. It's all interpretation. And we're also now interpreting what she said currently to meet our political climate, and not what she had written originally. So let's talk about that. It gets good. Okay, so the one thing is that when you start digging up information about her life, there is a lot of press given towards, when I say press, just people giving the information out, not like real news agencies. No, I'm wrong. Nope, completely wrong. Real news agencies are giving her interpretations like real credit, even though they've changed over the years. So the interpretations have changed. So is it really her interpretations, or are we just changing what she said to match what is kind of happening in the world? Okay. So the first thing is that, like, you start looking this stuff up. And what I want is her exact words on the events that occurred. And they're impossible to find. I haven't found them, and I'm pretty decent finding stuff on the internet. And the best one I got was from this video where she predicted 9/11. 9/11/2001 for people outside the United States. I think even people outside the United States probably know that date. It was a huge event in United States history. It was a tragic event. And in there, she's referring to an attack by smoke birds. Remember, she's died in 1996. She knows what a freaking airplane is. But smoke birds, which people are saying are airplanes, and that a great wolf is going to hide in the bushes and attack its prey at the opportune time. That's it. That's all I could see. That's her interpretation. That can mean anything. Anything. Like, it's so vague, it's ridiculous. Okay. So when you start looking at that interpretation, it's September 11th attacks in the United States. That is not what she said. That's the interpretation after the fact. 2004, tsunami in the Indian Ocean. Okay. 2010, nuclear and chemical warfare. Like where? All over? I mean, I'm sure every year we've had nuclear and chemical warfare to some degree. It is using uranium depleted rounds. Is that considered nuclear warfare? I mean, it is using a form of radiation to harm another human being. In chemical warfare, same thing. Like, it's been going on almost every year since World War I, and probably before. They did mustard gas in World War I. This is nothing new. So saying nuclear and chemical warfare is just like saying there will be a war using bullets. It's not a prediction. It's just saying stuff that's already happened in her lifetime. So, okay, it's 2011. Radioactive radiation will erase half of the population. Well, I think it's 2024. That was 13 years ago. I was alive then. Pretty sure I was. And I don't remember that happening. If anybody else is out there that was alive, 2011, do you remember the time that half of our population was wiped out? Okay, 2016. No cities will be left in Europe. Okay. I think we would have known if that happened. 2018. China will dominate the world. Well, when it comes to manufacturing, yes. Again, in what way? Over war, financially, informational. Will they dominate the world with the amount of cars they build? Like, what is that? It's such an open-ended question. It can mean anything. So if China dominates the world on anything, she's right. It's like I could say next year USA is going to dominate the world, and then we win a sporting event, and we get we it's like, yeah, we dominated the world. It's so specifics matter to me when it comes to people giving these opinions or foretelling the future. Like Nostradamus was so wrong 99% of the time, and the stuff that he was right was so ambiguous. You could mean anything with it. It's the same thing here. It's really driving me crazy. Okay, well, let's keep going. So 2023, Earth's orbit shifting. Earth's orbit has shifted since Earth had an orbit. Like, badly? Is it shifting to help us? Is it going to cause an effect? What is it doing? How is it shifting? Okay, so, and then we skip 2024, but everybody's saying that something's going to happen in 2024, this year, which we have 4 months left, that there's going to be this huge thing. But I haven't found anywhere on any of the old writings, like these are documents from like the past, not present tense. So there's no reference to 2024 here, but yet a lot of people are saying that she is saying that in 2024 that these huge catastrophes are going to happen. But there's nothing there. Okay, so next year, 0 population in Europe. Okay, so I feel more like she's referring to the fact of in 1996, the current, things that were going on with Russia and stuff like that. Just was a continuation of that. It was based on current world events that were occurring. Okay. Space exploration to Venus. We've already done it. So she's wrong about that. Polar ice is going to melt. It's already done that. People have been talking about the polar ice is melting since I was a kid. That was a big thing when I was a kid, was the polar ice was going to melt. So since the 80s, I would say that was a big thing. So it would have been in her lifetime. Europe will become a complete Islamic republic. Okay, so Europe will, I guess, be 0 population in all of Europe, and then Islamic Republic will take over. I mean, that makes sense. I mean, in my opinion, it would be Russia that would, like, if Europe was wiped out and there was no population in Europe, Russia would just kind of move in because there'd be nobody there. I wouldn't imagine that it would fall to Islam, but that was another fear during her time. All right, here we go. 2046, no more diseases. Woo! Yes. All right. Things are starting to look up. 2066, climate changing weapon. Okay. Well, there's already theories that exists. There's a lot of conspiracy theories that there already is a climate changing weapon that is being used by certain groups. 2076, communism is back, baby, and it's everywhere. All right, 2084, new ecological system. Great. 2100, the invention of artificial sun. Okay, that could track. I could see that. But again, it's based off of current, theories that we can create an artificial sun. It probably would take that long. 2130, aliens will help us to live underwater. Ooh, man, I'm gonna miss all this. 2170, global drought. We'll go through this a little faster now because these are just getting ridiculous, right? 2187, stopping volcanic eruptions. Fine. 2201, drop of temperatures because of the sun. Sure. 2264, the solar system is going to change. Do we add Pluto back to the list? 2262, they're going to be like, no, Neil deGrasse Tyson, Pluto is a planet. So, because it did actually change in our lifetime. The mystery of the moon will be exposed. Dinosaurs living on it. What? I mean, what? Okay. Asteroid might hit Earth. Asteroids hit Earth all the time. No more hunger in the world. Ooh, was it because of the asteroid? At 2480, the artificial sun will vanish into space. Cool. 3005, war on Mars. Fine. And 5079, the end of the universe. End of the universe, not just the planet, but the whole universe is going to end. We need to start preparing now. All right, so that was one list that I found. And so yeah, it's if you notice, the things that are very specific are the things that happened in the past. And this is the same that happened with Nostradamus, or is still happening with Nostradamus. It's the hindsight is 2020 method of predicting the future. Someone predicted the future because we are taking events that happened and matching it up to the vagueness of the message. So far, I haven't seen anything that even came close. This is another list, and it's a different list. But if you look here, 2010, World War III will begin in November 2010. There you go. 2011. So even the dates are all wrong. People will suffer skin cancer and other skin diseases as a consequence of chemical warfare. Well, that's just the sun. Europe almost lonely, empty. New China becomes a world power. Developing countries in turn operate from exploiters. Sure. A little bit of change at Earth's orbit. I mean, this is all, the same thing. And see, this one changes. So, like, if you notice, even on these two lists, the predictions are different. 2028, creating a new energy source, probably a controlled thermonuclear reaction. That we have that. Are you talking about nuclear fission or nuclear fusion? Because a thermonuclear, wow, okay. Because wow. So sorry. So current nuclear bombs are both fusion and fission reactions that occur. It's the same stuff as that other list. It's just worded a little differently. And again, it goes right back to, these are the things that we're doing hindsight 2020 on, and we're trying to match current events to match vague prophecies that have occurred. So the other thing was this, yeah. So let's see.
Baba Vanga, a mystic whose visions have stirred global curiosity, left behind terrifying predictions, but she was able to see glimpses of the future,
right,
including terrifying visions for 2024. To understand these visions, we need to delve into Baba Vanga's incredible life. The seer of Petrich. As word of her abilities spread, people from surrounding areas began to seek her out, looking for guidance and healing. Baba Vanga's small home in the town of Petrich became a sanctuary for those in need.
And one of the things I want to say is that there's a good case to be said for having someone like this in your village, a wise woman that can give advice, can help heal, stuff like that. That's very common with villages. You would have this the wise woman of the village, or kind of like the Baba Yaga or Baba Vanga. These were all scary but wise people. So this is nothing new.
Became known for her predictions and her herbal remedies, which she prepared herself despite her blindness. Her methods were simple yet profound. Visitors reported that she would touch their hands and immediately begin talking about intimate details of their lives, predicting future events with uncanny accuracy.
No, she didn't.
Her advice often included prescriptions for herbal treatments, prayer, and acts of penance or kindness. The interest in Baba Vanga outside her local village grew and led to her becoming a sort of global sensation, voice to the world. Baba
Weird,
Vanga's
she's a
fame
global sensation. I've
transcended
never really
national
heard of her.
borders, and she became a figure of global intrigue during the latter half of the 20th century. Politicians, dignitaries, and even...
It's interesting. So, like, all the people, like, it shows... Oh, God, that's actually hilarious. It's showing Trump here. This is Trump at his trial, when he came out of his trial. I don't understand why Tom Cruise is there. Like, did these three people see Baba Vanga? Because it's kind of alluding to it.
And
It's a
celebrities
very odd thing.
visited her, seeking insight into personal and global issues. Reports of her accurate predictions reached the media, leading to coverage that both celebrated and scrutinized her mystic prowess. Among her most famous predictions were events of great global significance, such as the dissolution of the Soviet Union and the Chernobyl disaster, the rise...
Remember, in that list, we never saw the dissolution of the Soviet Empire listed there. One of the things in the Wikipedia source was that none of her stuff was actually written down. So we don't know what was said. It's only through these symbols, through these interpretations, that we know what she predicted.
...of terrorism and the attack on the World Trade Center in 2001. Her method of divination often involved a state of trance, and her visions came to her in fragmented symbolic messages, which she would then interpret for her visitors. Her prophecies, often spoken in a poetic and cryptic language, were...
So a poetic and cryptic language. So if you were ever wanting to make a fake prophecy, that's the best thing to do. Is you don't say in certain terms what you want people to know. You say it in a cryptic term that could be interpreted any way that the person needs to be interpreted. It's the same thing with, like, if you're reading tarot cards. The tarot cards aren't giving you the answer. It's the person reading it that's giving the answer, and it's based on this interpretation, typically of what they're seeing and maybe what they know about the person or not know about the person. And I'm not against tarot. You can see there's a deck right there. But it helps me with me. It doesn't help give an answer for someone else. It's introspection. But let's continue.
...were interpreted and reinterpreted over the years, adding to her mystique...
So interpreted and reinterpreted over the years.
...and the aura of legend that surrounded her.
And then we're showing a
Despite
picture
the challenge of understanding
Doctor
them,
Strange.
the mystique surrounding Baba Vanga's prediction for 2024 keeps us captivated, as it is said to reveal terrifying events that are about to occur. Examination of specific prophecies for 2024.
This is the one I'm interested in, because
In
this is what I want to know.
2024, several of Baba Vanga's prophecies gained renewed interest. Among these, her predictions about environmental catastrophes and significant global
Okay, so environmental prophecies, environmental events occur every year. So there's not a, with or without global climate change or global warming or whatever you want to call it, without that, climate disasters or events occur every year. So just by saying that there's going to be one is not a prophecy. That's a freaking weather forecast. And then global diplomatic shifts happen every year. Again, if they said that the Queen of England was going to die, I would be like, crap. She knows what she's talking about. Global diplomatic shifts don't mean anything. It's business as usual. There are global diplomatic shifts occurring every year for centuries.
Diplomatic shifts
Sorry, she's
are
annoying me.
particularly noteworthy. According to interpretations of her visions,
Interpretations.
2024 is expected to witness severe climatic events and a remarkable
Yep, which have been occurring for a long time.
incident in global politics involving major powers.
Major powers. Again, nothing specific. Major powers. And it's like whoever did this video is also showing like everybody, because there's nothing specific. So it could be any of this stuff. And remember, we got 4 months.
These events are said to be pivotal, aligning with her long-standing warnings about the Earth's health and humanity's impact on it.
Which has been
One of
going
the
on
most
for
striking
generations
prophecies
and
attributed
generations.
to Baba Vanga for 2024 is the supposed Great Shaking, a term that has been interpreted to mean either a significant earthquake or a metaphorical shaking of the global political landscape. While her prophecies are often cryptic, the implication is that this event will bring about a profound re-evaluation of how nations interact and govern. Despite their terrifying nature,
Again, what does that mean? I don't know what any of that means. So a major earthquake that's going to so let's put an example of something that could actually happen that would change political views. Let's say that there was an earthquake that hit in between India and Pakistan and took a lot of lives. The two countries might set aside all of their differences and work together to help each other. That could be, and then this prophecy would be true. And again, yes, that's what happens when natural disasters occur. Nations come together. So again, there's no specifics. And if it's not an earthquake, is it something else that occurs that either brings or separates, people? This is, again, politics. Everyday, normal, year-to-year politics.
skeptics cannot help but question the reliability of these predictions.
Yeah.
While we can never know
Because
for
there is
sure,
no reliability.
we can gain some insight and acceptance by looking at the accuracy of previous forecasts.
Yeah.
Before delving into a chilling prediction
Delving.
for 2024
Not
that
AI
terrified
written.
everyone, her past predictions, their accuracy, are worth analyzing.
I agree.
Analysis of the accuracy and interpretation of past predictions. The intrigue surrounding Baba Vanga largely stems from the perceived accuracy of her past predictions. Scholars and enthusiasts have meticulously examined her track record, noting both hits and misses. The accuracy of her prophecies is often debated, with supporters highlighting her correct predictions and detractors pointing to the vague and non-specific nature of many of her prophecies, which could be interpreted in multiple ways. An in-depth analysis reveals a pattern. Her most accurate predictions often concern large-scale disasters or significant political changes, events that have a broad impact and are remembered in historical contexts. For example, her prediction of the sinking of the Russian submarine Kursk in 2000 was shockingly precise, mentioning the name Kursk directly in association with water and tragedy. Let's see what it was all about. You see, Baba Vanga made a terrifying prediction in 1980, claiming that the city of Kursk would drown due to a catastrophe so severe that it would cause shockwaves of grief all over the world. Her forewarning took on a haunting reality in August
It did not.
2000 when tragedy struck near Kursk. A nuclear
Also, don't forget, submarines existed when she gave this prophecy. So she said the city, and I don't care how you interpret it, that's not a city. Kursk was not destroyed by water. the Kursk imploded due to human failure, basically.
A submarine with 188 crew members aboard met a grim fate as it sank into the depths, encapsulating the dire prophecy
Not at
and
all.
leaving the world in mourning over the immense loss. It
That's a
sounds
coincidence, not a
unbelievable,
prediction.
I know, but it doesn't end there. Then there's also Baba Vanga's prediction about the September 11th attacks, and this one was terrifying, to say the least.
Okay, here we go.
In a hauntingly prophetic statement made in 1989, Baba Vanga uttered the words horror, horror, predicting a grim future for the American brethren who, she claimed, would fall after an assault by steel birds.
Steel birds. By steel birds. Okay. She knew what an airplane was.
She also depicted a scene where the wolves will be howling in a bush and innocent blood will be gushing.
Okay. So, wolves will be howling in the bush and blood will be gushing. That means nothing.
This eerie metaphor, according to her ardent followers, symbolized the hijacked planes that would later catalyze a global crisis. It's particularly striking that she mentioned the word Bush, a potential reference to then President George Bush,
Oh my God.
who would later command the wolves of American military might in a retaliatory war on terror. This chilling prophecy
No.
became a dark reality as the entire United States was enveloped in a shadow of pain.
And remember too, so this is the issue, is that we don't have the complete prophecy to look at. So it's just their ardent followers are saying this. So did she say 2001? If she even got the year right, I'd give a little more like, hey, she got this one right. But she just, the way that it sounds is that in the future, there's going to be an attack on America. Okay, well, again, in the future of every country, there is an attack on it. So, and the wolves in the bush, howling wolves in the bush, seems to be that that's the people attacking America, gushing blood. So, yeah, through enough mental gymnastics, I guess you could say that Bush was the president and the wolves were hiding in him. It just, the metaphors don't make sense. And the imagery, like even the imagery doesn't make any sense. So if she really had this prediction, like, you could have said it a lot easier. Metal birds is another one. It's like, because see, like that to me is a drone. That's more of a drone strike. Metal birds. But, you know, I'm not going to play anymore. But I what I wanted to get to was this one, which is, just another example of taking something that has occurred and fitting a prophecy into something that has occurred. If prophecies were real, we could do something about them, or maybe not even, like, because there's the whole concept of that this is something that's going to happen either way, and that no matter what you do, you can't stop it. But at least having an understanding that something like just to say 2025 something bad's going to happen. Yes, that happens every year. Something bad happens to everybody every year. Not every single person, but like tragic events occur throughout the world. And I don't know of a single year where a tragic event hasn't affected some group of people. So to say that that is a prophecy, it's not. It's an understanding of just the way the world works. That's like me saying that next year it's going to be warmer than this year. Yeah, because I looked at the past and I saw we've got a warming trend, so it's going to get warmer. That's not a prophecy. That's a guess. Because what happens if next year it doesn't? And this is, to me, goes back to this critical thinking. Both critical thinking and also the the kind of words that can control you. When people start utilizing prophecy to prove a point or disprove a point or whatever, there's something else going on, and you have to examine it. You have to examine why all of a sudden 2024 prediction is now a thing, because those two lists that I found were the only lists that I could really find from her past predictions, and there was nothing about 2024. So are they taking that around this time in the future we're going to have political discourse? Well, yeah, every country in its lifetime will have political discourse. Every single one. It is human nature. It is not a prophecy. So I think I'm going to leave it at this. I've I think wasted enough time on Baba Vanga. I haven't seen anything that makes me think that she was even 1% right. And even if you took these two things as being right, she was wrong on everything else. And I keep using this term because I like it, is, a broken clock is right twice a day. But how do you know when it is right? The way you know that a broken clock is right twice a day is with a clock that works. Trust the clock that works. Don't trust the broken clock. And that's it for me. This is Carl with the Redacted Debunker. And if you see this video, you like what I do, give me a subscribe, or a like, or just a comment. Say hi to me. I appreciate you, and have a great day.